Good day, and welcome to another edition of the Military and Foreign Affairs Network. I am your host, the Voice of Reason. So, on my map screen there, you can see the International Criminal Court located in the Hague. Look at this thing. Does this thing actually have a moat around it? Is that a moat? That's pretty impressive. I didn't know they built buildings with moats. It's kind of like a castle. Wasn't that what Hague means? Fortress, something along those lines. So yeah, that's the International Criminal Court, and I've pulled that up on my map because I think it's possible that the current leader of Ethiopia, Abiy Ahmed, could be spending some time there. And I also believe it could be possible that his accomplice, Mr. Isaias Afwerki, leader of Eritrea, could also be spending some time at The Hague. So why would they be spending time at the International Criminal Court? Could they have committed crimes that could get them transported to the International Criminal Court located in The Hague? Yeah, possibly. Some people would say absolutely. Other people would say no, we don't believe so. Well, in terms of Abiy Ahmed and the charges that he could be indicted, there's a lot of deceased people inside the Ethiopian state of Tigray. Now, will Tigray continue to be a state within a federal Ethiopia? I don't know. It's looking more likely that there could be some sort of separation. But Mr. Ahmed has isolated Tigray. He has closed off the ability for food to get into the state. This has possibly displaced upwards now to close to 1 million inhabitants inside of Tigray. And he is prosecuting an offensive war against the population inside of Tigray as well, under the guise of a law enforcement operation. And within the scope of that alleged law enforcement operation, which is actually a military operation, cities have been surrounded by large, heavy artillery and have been bombarded by heavy artillery. And what's even more interesting, some of these cities we know now were actually bombed after opposition forces, Tigray state militia forces, had departed the city. They weren't there, and yet they were still shelled. That's unfortunate. The press, the international press, even Ethiopian press, are not allowed inside of Tigray. So it's very difficult to actually hear what's going on inside of Tigray. Another huge issue that has occurred that could get Mr. Ahmed here in the International Criminal Court. He has allowed foreign troops inside of his country. He has allowed foreign Eritrean soldiers to enter his country, and they have set out to persecute political prisoners or political refugees that were located inside of Tigray, who fled Eritrea. These are enemies of the leader of Eritrea, Mr. Afwerki. Abiy Ahmed allowed Mr. Afwerki to introduce thousands of Eritrean troops into his country. And he did this under a formal treaty. Well, I wouldn't classify it as a formal treaty. There was a formal meeting in which Abiy Ahmed went to Eritrea and Afwerki went to Ethiopia. And they discussed their problems that were located inside of Tigray. So what's next for Mr. Abiy Ahmed? When you go down this road of destruction, when you cause this much grief within your own society, it then becomes very difficult for you as a leader to step down and not be the leader of that country anymore, because you're afraid, because you don't have the same kind of power you did when you were president, when you were prime minister, when you led said nation. So you don't have the same kind of protections that would prevent you from being either tried in your own country or being arrested and transported to the International Criminal Court in The Hague. So what happens is these leaders tend to stay leaders of their country through despotic means. So will Abiy Ahmed, in an attempt to avert being tried in Ethiopia or being moved to the International Criminal Court, will he circumvent the democratic process in Ethiopia? And I'm not sure there is a real democratic process now inside of Ethiopia. In terms of Afwerki, I'm not so sure Afwerki will actually go to the International Criminal Court. He's older. He simply cannot step down. And eventually his health is going to degrade. And I believe, just like we saw in 2013, there was an attempted coup over the certain elements within the military could see human rights abuses occurring, such as with the G15, the 15 political prisoners that were incarcerated, many of whom are actually dead now. They've disappeared into an Eritrean death camp, so to speak. So I think eventually Mr. Afwerki will be overthrown by a member of his own government, probably a up-and-coming, somewhat charismatic military commander that is going to bring in the new. Will that be a continuation of kind of what we've seen in Eritrea, or will it actually change? That will be told later. But I think continued hard times in Ethiopia are going to occur. I don't think Abiy Ahmed is going to step down. I don't think he can step down now. because of these issues that have happened. So I believe that eventually he will have to be removed from power, as will Afwerki if he doesn't die in office.